What is going on, guys? It is Jamil with MILMID Studios. Thank you so much for tuning in to another video. Today we are looking at the X Slim M 28mm f2.8 from Brighton Star. I reached out to Brighton Star after watching a video from a very talented YouTuber, Daryl Carey. You guys be sure to check out his channel, link in my description. Daryl unboxed a pancake lens, a 28 f2.8 from Brighton Star, and it really intrigued me when I saw the size and the profile of this lens. He also took some photos and I was really impressed with the quality, but overall the thing that really hooked me and interested me about this lens was the size. So like I said, I reached out to Brighton Star. They were very responsive, very kind. I'm not a massive YouTube channel, but they were willing to take the risk on me and they sent me one of their lenses. It's currently on my Leica M11P. Just look at the profile of that lens. I did an unboxing. Check out my Instagram at MILMID Studios and also my YouTube shorts. I have an unboxing of this lens. Now, as you can see, this is why this lens intrigued me. Look at the profile. It looks like a lens cap. And so I'm very curious to see the quality of image that I can get out of this thing. We're gonna do some street photography. So inside the box, there was this insert, and this insert has some information about the lens. So on the outside of the lens, you're gonna see there's a textured pattern. And this allows you, because of the size, it allows you to get a nice affirmative grip so you can kind of screw the lens on and off the camera mount. So when you go a little bit closer on the inside now, there's a textured ring. It's fully textured all around so you can get a nice grip. That's the aperture ring. It goes from 2.8 all the way to f16. And the way that you pull focus on this guy is that there is a focus ring tab right at the bottom. So this is the Brighton Star X Slim Pro for the Leica M mount. According to this insert, which is not all in English, so bear with me, it's a 28mm. The aperture range is 2.8 to f16, and the minimum focus distance is 70 centimeters. So we're gonna do some street photography because I really wanna get a feel for this lens. I wanna see the images that it produces. I wanna see how I feel carrying it around. It is super low profile. I have a trip coming up to Seattle, and I think if things work out, this may be the only lens that I bring to do some street photography out there. So let's jump into that street photography session, and then we're gonna end off with my final thoughts on this product. All right, guys, so a little bit of information about this lens that was sent to me by Brighton Star. So as we know, it's a 28mm. There are 9 pieces of aperture blades. The filter diameter is 52.6 meters. Thickness is 21.5 millimeters. And the price is $358.99 USD. So we are set to 2 meters for zone focusing. Auto ISO 1/1000th of a second. And our aperture is set to f8. It's really nice Merle. So really light, and I can't really say enough about this profile of this lens. It's so thin, so small, not overwhelming. I mean, even the 35 to me is a good size lens, but this is just so much better in terms of size. It's a random red bit in the middle of the road. Hi there. I'm doing a lens review for this lens. I was hoping that I can get a portrait of you. Free portrait, no charge. I could also send it to you. Thank you, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. My name is Jamil.
I'm Shaka.
Nice to meet you.
What kind of camera is it?
This is a Leica M11P.
Okay.
The lens, it's called a Brighton Star X Slim. It's super thin, so I'm just kind of testing it out. But this is a beautiful camera, 60 megapixels. Really nice. It's my pride and joy. Yeah. Matter of fact, can I get you leaning on this wall? Maybe just kind of like, maybe even like your back against the wall and just look towards me, okay? That's really nice light too. 1, 2, beautiful. And one more. I keep on saying one more. 1, 2, gorgeous. Very nice. Tell you what, I'm not even gonna let you see them right now. I'm gonna edit them and I'm gonna send them to you. They look really good though, okay? Okay, cool. Let me grab your email address.
What's your Instagram?
It's MILMID, so it's MILMID Studios, and that stands for Moments in Light, Moments in Darkness.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, appreciate that. MILMID Studios on Instagram. Okay, so we got a couple portraits. It's really cool. I actually like this scene that I had, just with this guy and his little dog.
Yeah,
Is that cool? Awesome, man. Appreciate that. What's his name?
Diego.
Diego. Hey, Diego. Oh, wow, that's a good boy. 1, 2. Oh, how old is he?
He's 4 in November.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I can email him to you if you want. I'm going to edit him and I'll send him over your way.
Oh my god.
It's
Yeah,
so cute.
sure.
Cool, awesome. Let me grab your email address, man.
Yeah.
All right, let's see what else we can get. We'll put our zone focusing back to 2 meters. This is a nice little scene. Let's go to 64 ISO. We'll go to about f4. You're good. A little underexposed. There we go. Hi there. I'm just a local photographer. I was hoping that I could maybe just get a picture, no customers or anything like that, but just of the decor. I think it's really nice. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
So, my parents only have one.
We'll go to f2.8. Really cool mural. Take a picture of this. Cool. Okay, so just another quick comparison between my other 28mm lenses and the X-Slim Pro that's currently on the Leica M11P. So we have the Canon R3, that's going to be our subject, and the minimum focus distance on this guy is 70 centimeters, whereas I believe on the Leica Summron 28 5.6 it's 1 meter. So I have it a little bit further back just so we can have the same sort of framing. We're shooting at 64 ISO, 1/125th of a second, and f5.6 just to keep it even across the board, and we are 1 stop overexposed. Okay, so f5.6 is the minimum on this lens. This is the TT Artisan, the budget version of the Summron from Leica, f5.6. Okay, so the tripod has been placed in the same place for the X-Slim Pro, but the X-Slim Pro has a closer minimum focus distance than both the TT Artisan and the Leica Summron 28 5.6. So I'm gonna have to bring this back a little bit, and then we may have to retake the X-Slim Pro photo just so that we have the same framing. Okay. I really do like this Summron lens. Close the screen door. We're at f5.6, just make sure. We're gonna have to go to get the same exposure. It could be cloud coverage and whatnot, so there might be just slight variances. And firing. Okay. And we're gonna reacquire focus and firing. Okay. So my use case for a lens like this, a 28mm f2.8, would be for street photography, for street portraits, and also for some photojournalism. So the metrics that I'm using to judge or to review or to give my impressions on this lens come from that use case. So the first thing that I like to see in a 28mm is that the focus point is sharp, and then that there's a gradual separation or a gradual fall off from the subject in the image. The gold standard lens that comes to mind for me is the Summilux 28mm f1.7 that's found on the Leica Q2 monochrome and the Leica Q2. I have had some of my favorite portraits with the Leica Q2 monochrome. That lens is just gorgeous. There's almost a 3D pop. It is so sharp at the point of focus, and then the fall off is almost drastic where it looks almost cartoonish. So that's a standard for me, the Summilux 28mm f1.7. The second thing that I look for when getting a lens or when purchasing a lens is that the lens has some character. What I mean by that is that the lens has imperfections that are manageable, that don't take away from the quality of the image, but add to the uniqueness of the image. So the lens that comes to mind when I think of that point is this Summicron 35mm f2. Now this is a beautiful lens. This is my favorite 35mm lens to use for portrait, for street photography, for all use cases. I use it on my trips to Yellowknife and Japan as well. Now this lens is sharp, but it's not clinically sharp like the images that you would get out of the Zeiss Biogon 35 f2. That is like surgically razor sharp. This is sharp enough, okay? But what adds character to this lens is that when you're shooting wide open at f2, the subject is sharp, but the separation and the edges of the photo, there's a dreamlike haze. Really nice. It's a really nice touch that this lens gives, and that's why I've used it so much for so many projects. So obviously the character of a lens is subjective. It just so happens that for this lens, I love that imperfection, if I can call it that. The third thing that I look for is that the lens is not overbearing. It's not cumbersome. I would use this lens for travel photography, street photography, and just everyday carry. So you don't want it to be something that, you know, you really feel weighting you down, whether it be in your bag or around your neck. You want it to just kind of be there. You know it's there, but it's not something that's overbearing. My fourth and final point is that I don't want a lens that is complicated to adjust or manipulate. I don't want it to take away from that image making in the moment, to adjust my aperture or to adjust the focus. I want it to be natural. I want, with using the lens, that I become proficient with it and competent with it, that, you know, it's like second nature if I need to adjust a setting. Okay guys, so here are a couple points that I would like to see in maybe a second iteration of this Brighton Star X Slim Pro 28mm f2.8. The disclaimer that I have for you here is that this is an extremely small lens, and with that comes a complication in fitting all the elements and doing all the things that a lens needs you to do in a smaller package. It's just with any technology, fitting like super powerful computers in smaller cell phones, making laptops smaller. Think of what a computer was 20 years ago, 25 years ago to now. It's always going to be a complication. It's just the way things are. So having a lens this small, there are going to be some drawbacks. One of the drawbacks for me was the aperture ring. I want the aperture ring to have some affirmative clicks. So as it goes to 2.8 to say f4 or f5.6 or f8, I would like to see an affirmative click for every stop. The way that the aperture ring works on this, it just kind of free turns. So there is a red marker, and you kind of turn the ring to where you want the aperture to be. It works. There was never a point where I wanted to be at f8, but I accidentally budgeted it to say f4 or 2.8. Wherever I set it, it stayed, so that's good. But as an additional insurance policy and as an additional reinforcement, it would be nice to have that aperture click for every stop. So a second thing that I noticed about this lens is that when shooting wide open at f2.8, in my cases this would be for street stranger portraits, I noticed that there's a general softness at 2.8, and yes, it is a dreamy haze, which I do like in, say, a lens like this. However, the point of focus also shares that soft look. So what I would like to see is a sharper image at the point of focus. When you line up your rangefinders, manual focus, and you get the images lined up, I want that image in the center, wherever my point of focus is, to be sharp. That being said, there were some images where the softness, like if it's a landscape image and you don't necessarily have that depth of field, you're kind of just shooting a landscape at say f8 or whatever, there is that glow, and that glow does work for the image, in my opinion. Things that I love about this lens. Now, I said it once, I'll say it again, I'll probably say it a few times after that. The form factor, the size, the weight, the build, the general aesthetic of the lens, how it looks on the camera. The second thing that I love about this lens is the cost. Now, this copy was obviously free, but for my use case and what you get out of this lens, this would be something that I wouldn't even think twice about purchasing and having in my camera bag. Although I do have a few other 28mm lenses, they are sort of limited because they start at f5.6. Awesome for shooting street photography, but when I want to go out and do some street photography, it's maybe later in the evening and I want to get some portraits where I can have that separation, this is the sort of lens that I would love to have. So for the cost of this lens, which I think is very reasonable, I think you get a lot of value and a lot of practical use cases with this lens. It really is a no-brainer. So I just want to thank Brighton Star for sending their X Slim 28mm f2.8. Really enjoy using this lens. Guys, thank you for tuning in this video. Remember, the best gear is the gear that you have, and the best photos are the ones you take. Don't forget to keep on shooting.